Good evening. We are 6++, and we are going to go through some WTC news that's come out in the last few days. So, those of us who don't know us, I'm Rob, one of the 6++ members, along with Ben and Adam. We're all Drukhari players. We've all been doing it for quite a while at a decent level, and we're all very excited to see a good representation this year of Drukhari at the WTC. So with that, I think we should just jump into our topics. So I'll just bring this up for you. So for those who don't know, WTC, it's an annual tournament. It's hosted somewhere in Europe every year. It's 8-man teams. You go if you can represent your country. There's tryouts. I know that England have big selections. France take this very, very seriously. The Spanish team, this Polish team, there is a lot of very big teams. The Australian team, of course, the Australian team. And it's considered, I think, across the hobby as the highest level of play. It's what everyone strives to in the competitive scene, to be able to go and represent your country.
Yeah.
So, WTC, they have their own set of maps and their own FAQ. We're not going to touch the FAQ today, but the WTC maps are quite unique for a number of reasons. I think, Adam, you probably play WTC the most out of all of us because you've had your hand in the England squad the last year or so. So if you want to go over that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so all of the terrain pieces are a standard size, so they're all 12-inch by 6-inch. And they have two different types, as light and heavy. The heavy usually have, I think it's they have 3 floors and they're really tall and really well line of sight blocking. The lighter ones have a little sort of corner you can hide in, but there is a bit of a smaller wall where you can see over really easily. So slightly taller models, it's much harder to hide on the terrain. But the way that they set up a lot of the boards, it does allow for a lot of movement. So if you consider, say, UKTC and a lot of their objectives being covered by Ls and whatnot, and you can't move quite easily, like diagonally, I guess. Whereas with WTC, you can move very easily in a lot of places, just straight across the terrain and get around the angles much easier. So it provides a lot of good staging points and firing lanes where you can get to quite easily. A lot of the objectives as well can be in quite an open space. Sometimes on some of the maps, for example, on the Tipping Point and Hammer and Anvil maps, they are just blocked by some crates. And these crates aren't that tall, and some prime abusers of the crates being Magnus, who can just see over it with his wing and see everything behind them. They're not that safe whatsoever. And then they used to have a sort of category of heavy, light, and medium boards that sort of went away from that, but the boards still sort of exist in that sort of space. So you'll have some boards which are all of the plates will be in the same sort of layout, then you'll swap between a lot more of the heavier ruins being used and a lot more of the lighter ruins being used. And this can really change what sort of units are good at staging, what sort of lists are good at playing on the boards, whether you go more shooting or more combat stagey.
Yeah. So of course, this lighter and heavier boards, that's done through your pairings, and it's one of the strategies during your pairing process. So it's something that is considered. Drukhari don't really like light boards. We like being staging, so we generally like WTC, but light boards are a bit scary. So generally, we're not going to be thrown in the deep end with that against something, say, like Imperial Guard or Thousand Suns, because it would be a bad time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a general rundown of the maps. The WTC Meta. So we had the lists released, was it 2 days ago, I think now?
Yeah.
Yesterday or the day before. And straight away you could see the top 8. There was 6 armies that were in basically every list, every build. So there's Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights. No surprise there. They are very good at the moment. Very tough, just very stable, and can just put big differentials up if things go well. If things don't go well, they just don't lose big, even if things go badly. Death Guard, absolutely terrifying still. T-Suns, as you were saying, they just love WTC boards, don't they? Magnus can really just do whatever he wants. They've got their shoot moves abilities as well, so they can just bounce between those cover points while putting firepower out. There's a lot of things they can do. Again, Marines are back. Combat Marines with jump packs or that move really fast. It's a common theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fast moving infantry. Yeah,
advance and charge. The unique thing about the Space Wolves, though, is that the Iron Priests, this is pre-GW FAQ. So they all the guns on the vehicles that they choose get rapid fire and not just one gun. So you see a lot of lists have 2 or 3 Iron Priests and then Predators usually go alongside.
There's a Mad Lab with 3 Predators and 3 Iron Priests, wasn't there? So
Yeah,
you've got
there is
many. What was it, six las cannon shots per Predator? That's
8.
terrifying.
8,
8, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the surprise one, which I wasn't expecting to see, was Eldari. So they've kind of have a bit of a resurgence because everyone's using bricks. And you know what Eldari do well? They pick bricks apart piece by piece very well. And they can mess up knights pretty well as well. Cool. So that's kind of the meta. So looking at that from a Drukhari point of view, knights generally an okay matchup. Death Guard, probably if it's Mortarian's Hammer, horrible. But the other detachments, there is game where other armies just don't have game into it. T-Suns, you can play the cagey game and drag them out. Again, probably not something you really want, Adam. I haven't played that too much myself, but I think we
No.
can deal with it more than other armies a little bit.
I've played it a couple times. It's not fun.
It's not a
It's
fun
not
time.
fun. No, it's really not fun at all.
Marines, we've always done decently into Marines as long as we can control the tempo. And Eldari, these particular builds, it can go either way. It's very swingy. And to be honest, I don't think anyone was preparing for Eldari. And then the rest of the meta, we're okay into. We're a middle of the road army that likes drawing. So I guess that's what we'll talk about now. Drukhari in the 8. So we can skew into anti-tank very easily with Haywire and Dark Lancers. It's cheap, it's fairly reliable until you run out of pain tokens. That's another question. And when you skew into anti-tank with Drukhari, we're quite unique that we are mixed arms, and you still have Lilith, you still have an Archon, you still have plenty of combat to actually take on everything else when you do the anti-tank skew, because all of our units are either cheap or can multi-phase. So I think that's why we're in there, which means, yeah, we're pretty stable. We can play just the primary denial. We can't really score all that much primary, but we can play the primary denial and score cards. And at WTC, there is no purge. Yay! So we always know at UKTC, round 2 is going to be a horrible time. There is none of that at WTC, which I really think has helped Drukhari's point. Yeah. Cool. So unit breakdown. There is 7 countries bringing Drukhari. There was 6 people on Reaper's Wager and 1 on Sky Splinter.
I want absolute hero on Sky Splinter.
I want to watch all of his games because I know when I was playing Sky Splinter, you saw that Imperial Knight matchup and you just rubbed your hands. You're like, he's going to lose all of his knights in 3 turns, and I'm going to lose a few chaff pieces, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works out for him. So what we did. Credit to Paulie for this. I've done a little bit of a breakdown as well, but then promptly lost it all. So credit to Paulie. Go check out Paulie, aka Sky Serpent, on Instagram. He's done a really good breakdown of this, of what units are being taken a lot of the time in these 7 lists, and we've kind of broken it down. These are the data sheets that are taken in at least 6 of the 7 lists. So Archon, no surprise, a Vectora for 1 CP. Gives it. You can have it with Court, you can have it with Incubi, you can have them with just Cabalites to hop out, shoot, put a Vector out, hop back in. Beastmaster, it just makes us stable effectively. If you do go first, if any Drukhari player knows going first without a beast pack is absolutely horrifying because you can't push. Lilith, she just holds a point and just doesn't die and kills things. Draz, he's a recent inclusion. I think we've all been running him. It turns out +1 to wound into a Night Meta at AP3 with Twin Linked is quite good. And again, it can play into a lot of different profiles. Urin Rakath, he is just great at staying on points. Cabalites, just OC and some guns. And if you are bringing the Court, great. And if you have an Archon and no Court, still great, because he just goes with the guns and gives you reroll wounds.
Yeah, and Sticky.
And Sticky. Yes, Sticky is very big. There's a lot of people bringing the Scout enhancement. So you can Sticky 2 objectives turn 1 and just step back and go, come to me, you have to. Witches, so they go with Lilith, and if they are split in a Venom, then you've got 5 OC10 idiots to go jump on points. Incubi to go with Draz. Venoms, so strangely, there's only 1 list that has a Raider, and that is the Sky Splinter. list.
Yeah.
I think that maybe come down to the difference in WTC boards, that it's very hard to hide and move a raider around compared to a venom.
Yeah.
Then mandrakes, everyone's taking mandrakes. Who doesn't love 65-point units that just score points and deny with scouts with infiltrate? They're just a great unit.
Up your
And
Downy Dev wounds as well. It's just
exactly,
great into knights. Just a couple
yeah.
little extra wounds to go through.
How many times do you have something left on 2 wounds and you just go, I guess my mandrakes will shoot? And you're like, cool,
Yeah.
2 sixes, done.
There it is.
And Scourge have made a big comeback in big numbers. So I think it was 5 of the 7 lists have 3 Scourge.
Yeah, I was quite
units.
surprised at the amount of lists taking 3.
Yeah, I was quite surprised because of a few of the data sheets, but there's not a lot of indirects, which was the big downside of Scourge. There is some mortal wound indirect, effectively, with Chaos Knights and Death Guard, but it's just so good just to be able to sit at the back of the board and just plink wounds while the front of your army is pushing in.
Yep.
Okay. So are we surprised to see anything in there, or surprised to see anything missing from there, gents?
I think my biggest surprise, even though I've been playing it myself, was Drazar. The amount of other lists that actually included Drazar as well. But I think it's just like you said, the +1 to wound and then just 7 attacks twin linked is just good into bigger targets, right?
Yeah. And you've got lethals as well.
Yeah, access to lethals are sustained if you need it. You damage 3 dev wounds against the usual toughness 6/3 wound kind of units that are about. So yeah, it was my biggest surprise.
Yeah. I was actually surprised to see not many Ravagers, because for 100
that's
points,
interesting, isn't it? For 100 points, but
yeah, I've only had a couple of games with them since all the updates, and I've just absolutely loved them because you don't care throwing them forward and losing them because they're only 100 points, and people have to respect them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, should we go over some lists? So first we go to this lesser known Archon, who operates somewhere out of Canada.
I don't think who's this guy? I don't think I've heard the name of that.
Here's an up and comer. He has been around.
Oh, okay, right. I see.
He used to be a Black Templar player, is what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's new to Drukhari then, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, I think.
Right.
But of course, it is Scari. Scari. When I first picked up the army, I watched his videos. I learned a heap. So let's all listen to what he does. Cool. So his list. He's got an Archon with Arch Raider. He does not have a court, so we can only assume he's got a Venom with some Cabalites with that Archon moving forward, going and sticking objectives, and popping in and out to get his Vectora when Knights want to use their -1 damage, when Death Guard want to use their -1 damage, to stop interrupts, all that kind of good stuff. He has gone a double Beastmaster. This is really cool. It just lets him control the board. Scari's playstyle is just control the board, die in the correct places, and that's what this list kind of screams, is it doesn't matter if I'm dead if you haven't scored points. And that's exactly what Beastmasters do. Lilith, Drazar, Urian, single unit of Cabalite, single unit of Rax, single unit of Witches. He's got 3 Venoms to split all that out, so he's going to have the Cabalites, the Witches, and Drazar and his Incubi in those Venoms. Then he's got a Kronos, just farming for his 3 Scourge units, and a unit of 10 Hellions. There is 2 lists with 10 Hellions.
Yeah.
This is absolutely wild. Like, their damage profile is great, but they die to a stiff wind.
So they do, but they're in quite a unique place on WTC maps, where on a lot of the boards there are places where they can rapid ingress really safely. Yeah. So if you're not against Death Guard, I'm assuming that this list will 100% want to avoid Mortarian's Hammer Death Guard lists. Otherwise the Hellions are dead. But in almost every other game, those Hellions will be coming in through rapid ingress, and then because of how the terrain is and how it's set up, you can very easily move across it. So you're not having to go like awkward ways around the walls and stuff. And you can very easily get to your target. And I think for 150 points, it's a very strong hammer unit.
Yeah, I quickly math hammered it into Knights, and you get 9 lethals with a pain token and a CP, and they'll have a 5-up save, and then you'll get another. It would be 20, so it'll be another 6. So you've got 15 AP 2 damage 2 attacks going into a Knight. That is a lot of damage into a Knight. That almost one taps a Knight.
It does, yeah. Yeah, just a bit of shooting, and their shooting's twin linked as well, and then a grenade.
And they've got grenades.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For 150 points, I would not be sad if they managed to take down a knight.
If they go in, do 20 wounds, you're like, cool, I am happy with that trade.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they punch you back, and the knight only has 5 attacks, so they live, and the knight can't move.
Very important. It's very important for those matchups.
Yep. Cool. He's got some Incubi to go with Draz. With Venoms, we talked about 2 squads of Mandrakes, which is, I think, the sweet number because you got one that can infiltrate and another one that can just score later game if you need it. A single Ravager, some Reavers for that spicy OC 6 against Chaos Knights, and double Haywire Scourge and single Darklands Scourge. So for me, this looks like a very good list. It's very similar to what I'm running at the moment, except I don't have the second Beastmaster or the Hellions. Yeah, it just looks like a solid all-rounder. He can take on anything. And if he gets the right pairing, he will absolutely destroy Knights if he gets them and can just keep them at arm's length. What are you guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead. It's lacking Talos for me. It needs more Talos.
Yeah.
I love my Talos at the minute. It's a solid list, right? I can't sit here and profess to understand all of Scari's thinking with the list, but I'm pretty convinced that this list is going to do some numbers for him.
It will.
It's certainly not skewed too far one way either. I don't think. I think it's going to score solidly no matter what you put it into. So, as a barring perhaps a load of indirect, but. That'll be unlucky if he gets paired into that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole reason I think that he's going for the Hellions is that he knows he can avoid the Death Guard matchup, right? And there's probably a couple of us in there that he won't want the Hellions to go into either, and with them being one of his biggest hammer units, despite the cost. I think they are well suited into other armies that are in the meta.
Yeah.
The only thing. Oh, sorry, Rob. I think the only thing for me was the one unit of Reaver Jet Bikes, like you said, the OC6 against Chaos Knights, specifically Lord of Dread Sticky. But a lot of teams have sort of figured it out and went to Infernal Lance instead, where I believe they can have Sticky still, but not with the OC5. Okay. But I do still like the Reavers just because they are so fast. Assault on a Heat Lance as well. Can just casually chip random, if you spike, get 9 damage on a Knight.
Whoops, 9 damage, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But also, I think for 65 points, you could take a third unit of Mandrakes, but they're just not needed, right? So I think just having another unit which is as fast as it can be on turn 1 is really nice.
Yeah, great. The thing that struck me looking at all these lists, to be honest, is how similar they are to a singles list. Usually you look at WTC lists and you're like, this doesn't work because it wouldn't work in singles, but they're all, I think I added it up. The list that we looked at that every datasheet has, 1,400, was it 13 or 1,400 points of all the lists are the same.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you're taking singles.
I do think that's a little bit just like an issue with Drukhari at the moment, though.
It is a bit, yeah.
Our range is so small that we just have some things that are good and we have to take those things. And then once we do, we're left with a little bit left.
Yep. Cool. Let's talk about Daniel from South Korea now. So he is the absolute hero running Sky Splinter. Take me back to when that dropped and we were all very happy and we were chopping things to bits. And we were taking 30 Incubi. So he's running double Archon. One of them has Nightmare Shroud for Ignore Overwatch, which is very, very important in a lot of our matchups. A Beastmaster, Lilith, Draz. Interestingly, no Urian, which probably means he wants to be the aggressor in this list, because usually Urian is bait that has to be dealt with that lets you start trading, but if you're pushing into your enemy, you don't need bait, do you? A couple of squads of Kabalites, some Witches. He's got no racks in this. He's got 1 Raider, the Lone Raider of WTC, 4 Venoms, a Kronos, a squad of 10 Incubi, which I assume will go with either the Nightmare Shroud. I'll go with either Archon. I guess it depends on his matchup. Another squad of 5 Incubi with an Archon, 2 squads of Mandrakes, some Reavers, double Haywire, and a Darklands. So from this, looking at it, it is very, very similar to the...
Oh, Ben's dropped.
Ben's dropped. That's okay. He'll be back in a minute. To the Reaper's Wager.
Yeah, it is. So like I say, a lot of the similar unit selections. Obviously, with Sky Splinter, it's especially in a big knight meta, you're going to want to have 10 incubi, right? Like you could go I mean, there's still 4 venoms in the list, but you could go with like 3x5 incubi, which is very common, especially in singles.
Yep.
But I think the 10 incubi brick is kind of necessary if you're going to run Sky Splinter in this meta. I think though, because of how he's got a 10 and a 5 and then 2 units of Kabalites, so I think it always will be the Nightmare Shroud with 10 incubi, Drazar with the 5, and then the other Archon with 5 Kabalites, so again given that flexible vector from the Venom. And then similar ranged anti-tank that we've seen in Scari's list, right? 2 Haywire Scourge, 1 Darklands, but no Ravager here.
No, because he wants you to come at him, so he doesn't need the Ravagers. Which a Ravager, its job is to draw people out and to deal with it. They either have to hide or come and deal with it. And when you're playing Sky Splinter, you want people to come at you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so looks solid. It makes me kind of want to play Sky Splinter again, looking at this list, just remembering the things you can do with 10 incubi with an Archon.
No. I am surprised because Drazar and an Archon are the same points. So I am surprised to see Drazar over the 3rd Archon here. Or even just dropping Drazar for something else, right? And just having the Kabalites be unled. That's the only thing for me, because obviously Drazar's ability it doesn't double stack with the Lancer you get anyways. So you're not getting +2 to wound, right? That's why we see Drazar in Reapers, where he gets access to no Overwatch or Lethal and Sustained, but not so much in Sky Splinter. Even when Sky Splinter was at its peak, we weren't seeing many Drazars in the lists. So I am surprised to see him there, but apart from that, I think it's a solid list overall.
Yeah, great. I guess he does have the upside of when you do inevitably lose all of your transports, you've still got the +1 to wound, so he can be a mid to late game piece as well. Cool. Yeah. That's that one. And then we have Charil, apologies if I have butchered that name, of Luxembourg. Luxembourg, of course, at 6++. We gave them a hand last year in their prep. We've done some scrims with them. And they're just a great bunch of guys. So he's gone to Reaper's Wager. Ben, I think you want to go over this one, don't you? Because it's got your favourite clowns in it.
Oh, it does, and I'm here for it. I'm suddenly Team Luxembourg all the way. So we have Archon with Webway Walker, Beastmaster with his Conductor, Lilith, Urian, Kabalites Venom, which is a fairly standard core of a list, I think, here. Where he seems to be deviating from a lot of the others is he's gone for 3 units of Talos, and my favourite tanks, the Void Weavers. Chris, Tom, shove it, baby! These are back. They're an interesting pick. So obviously they get their Lone Op 18. Again, I think it's one of those things. You're gonna have to come out to get them. Talos are then their way in, or whoever's their way in to be like, right, let's have you. Flat damage 4 on their profile. It's quite nice, but considering, into Death Guard, if you're shooting that at Death Shroud Terminators, half the time they're probably going to have -1 damage. I think it's flat damage 4 is still not particularly efficient. And I think for the points cost now on a Void Weaver, 125 points, you could just take a Ravager for 100 points and it do the same job. Which, could buy you another Kronos with the savings you make on that. But the Void Weavers with reroll 1 hit and wound all the time, solid. They're solid. I like them. As I say, people.
They're a piece that can flip the wager back to get reroll 1s without using Conductor as well. And no one expects 6 shuriken cannon shots, which just absolutely shred a lot of targets.
Yeah. With lethal hits now as well. Let's not forget they are lethal hits.
Yeah. It's a very shooty list, this. It's gone away from the combat. The Archon. So they've only got 1 Venom in there. So the Archon with Webway Walker must go with 10 Kabalites. And the Court. Does he have a Court in here?
He does, yeah. So the Court is in there. So it's another one of Ben's favourites, the Deep Strike 15. Now, it is very good, right? Having all the extra attacks and whatnot with the lethals, full rerolls is good into the tougher targets. The only issue is the Imperial Knights get the bonus when they kill your Warlord. And I think this is why other lists have all dropped the Court. is because once the court is committed, you might kill the big knight, yeah, but then your court's dead, and the rest of the big knights become much harder to kill.
Yes.
So you want
Yeah.
to be cycling the Archon back into the Venom, keeping him safe and whatnot. So I'm a bit skeptical on the court here, just because of how prevalent Imperial Knights are, right? But otherwise, I do think it's a really good damage dealer unit. And then the other thing for me was every other list we've seen that has 3 Scourge, I believe, all have double Haywire and 1 Dark Lance, whereas this went the opposite. And I think that's just because he's got the 3 units of Talos, right? Well, Twin Link Haywire. And then the Void Weavers also, like you said, Ben, have the Prismatics and not the Haywire. Which, again, I think it's just trying to balance between the two, right? You don't want to lean too heavy into the Haywire, but like you said, dropping them and getting 2 Ravagers in, which have a higher damage potential, because it's the same stat line, but not 4 damage, it's D6 plus 2. And then you just get an extra Kronos or something. So, yeah, interesting choices. I think I would have went away from the Void Weavers myself, but I do like them being there, though. I do like to see that they're on the table and they made it to WTC.
Because the Void Weavers, they're 24-inch range, aren't they? They are a bit short.
Yeah, only 24-inch with a obviously 18-inch low knob, so they are fairly easy to catch.
Yeah, you have to kill what you target. No, it's an interesting list. I think we were saying we haven't seen that much of a skew, and I think this is probably the heaviest skew into the shooting output, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know the Talos are there, but really, they get to shoot once, and they get shot to absolute bits in a lot of the matchups.
One thing I do want to cover is the Conductor.
Yes.
Is it legit, or is it a 20-point filler?
Well, I've had Conductor in all of my lists at the moment, and it's definitely not because all of my lists came in 20 or 25 points under, and I just had to fill those points. So I think it's just a filler.
So I believe there's 4 of the 7 lists have Conductor.
Yeah.
So are they all 1980 lists, or is there some tech in there?
I think there's a place. So I was an RTT over the weekend, and I used it one of my games because effectively I knew I wasn't going to kill anything. So I'm like, okay, we'll pop this. We'll do a bit of extra damage on these units that I can see, and then next turn, reroll 1s to wound is worth more than reroll just 2s on a Ravager. Is the way that I saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're focusing down on one thing, I think there is a place, but it is very niche, and you have to be very careful because we all know pain token management is one of the hardest parts of Drukhari. Because when you run out, you just lose.
Yeah. So the way I see it is, you need to have the full rerolls or pain token in melee, especially because you get the extra AP. So you're never going to use the Conductor or flip it for reroll 1s to wound for melee specifically. So what kind of shooting base would you need a Conductor for?
Ravagers into Knights.
Ravagers
three rolling 1s, 3 rolling 1s, and your Haywire will help too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for the shooting base lists where they have less melee, like this one, where the melee is literally just Lilith and Talos, right? The rest of it is primarily shooting. So I think for that it does make sense. But for the melee heavier lists or lists with Drazar and a court or something like that, I don't see Conductor having a place.
No, like I said, it seems like it's a big just got 20 points. What we're going to do?
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to the end. So how do we think Drukhari is going to go? Is it going to serve the 7 countries? Is it going to be a hindrance? Is it going to be a pairing god mode where it just makes all knights cower and shiver and then end up with a bad pairing anyway? What do you guys think? I think it's an interesting choice into a very heavy meta where we've just got OC for days. We've got shooting and combat output, and we can just play into almost anything outside of probably 3 or 4 matchups. We're going to get points.
Yeah, I think that if you do, because a lot of these knights, they might be defending maybe 2nd or 3rd. I don't think any of them will go down 1st, because I think a lot of armies are teching into killing the big stuff, right? So I think if the knights ever do go down, defend, and a Drukhari attacks them, I think most cases the knights are going to just take the other option of the 2 attackers, and then the Drukhari get left to the last pairings where it is brutal and it could be anything. So I think that's a good reason, a good point why lists have all been more well-rounded and not fully skewed. But I think it's a typical case of Drukhari kind of being thrown under the bus a bit. Because I don't think you're going to get the pairings you want, right?
No, it's about getting
No.
other people good pairings with Drukhari, and that's what I know I've been doing with Drukhari for the last ITTs, and it's great fun, to be honest. When you go into a pairing, people are like, this is a solid 18, you're like, fuck off, that's a 10.
Yeah, it never works out how they think it does. They either get too overconfident or they just don't know what the army does in general.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I'm losing? Wait, what? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Great. So that's kind of our brief rundown of the WTC, what it is, and how we think Drukhari are going to fit there. A couple of lists. If you want to see more of our content, I know we're doing some other ones. I think we've got a Guard one coming up. We've got maybe 1,000 Suns. I think we've got Vic doing an Eldari one as well. So there's a heap of content like this coming out soon, so keep an eye out on our channel. We do our Tuesday shows. We do coaching, so I give coaching for Drukhari. We've got Tom does coaching as well, so if you're interested in that, just drop us a message. And as ever, thank you for watching. See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye.